To get it to the star of the show here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. It's Brian Morris. Brian, you got all sorts of stuff. Brian, here you go. We'll see you in a little bit.
All right, thank you. We're going to have David Cordero come down now. David's a member of the Dowling Band. Come on down here, David. Say hi. Wave to your grandma and grandpa.
Hey, how's it going?
Tell me a little bit about the band tonight. This will be your third performance in a row. What are you guys? What's your performance?
Our performance is The Planets by Gustav Holst, and it's a show that was written, and it's really instrumental and lots of different parts in it. Mr. Hoover, our director, actually wrote the percussion parts for it, and lots of great things happening tonight. Our whole show, this will be the first time we perform the whole show for an audience.
And how many members are in the Dowling Catholic Band?
There's over 150 in the band, 40 in drumline.
So what you got to do tonight is tweet that you were on this, so they all get online and watch your interview.
Oh, you know.
And you play the, and I'm going to say this wrong, the saramba?
Marimba.
Marimba, I'm close.
Marimba's in the pit. So.
Okay, and this is your senior year, and you're what are you thinking about for next year?
I'm probably going to attend Iowa State and study architecture, design, something in that world. I don't know exactly, but...
And your mom and dad, they're excited about you maybe leaving the house, empty nest for them?
Oh, yeah. Last year, probably be a little sad, maybe. Probably not. I don't know. Who knows?
And what other activities are you involved in at Dowling Catholic?
I'm involved with Maroon Crew, choir, a cappella choir, Dimension Show Choir, and chamber choir.
And I know you probably don't want to brag, but you were nominated and you accept the the National Youth Leadership? Or?
National Council on Youth Leadership. I was one of the 14 chosen from Dowling. So.
And for all you, that is a very big deal, and David getting one of those 14 awards for Dowling Catholic is a great honor, so congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, tell me a little bit about your dog in the neighborhood. David's a neighbor of mine. His dog's kind of yippy.
Yeah, his name is Willie. He's a Shih Tzu Bichon mix and a little over 2 years old, so he's a yapper.
so when you're gone, your dad's going to have to take care of him? Is that the true statement?
So he says he doesn't like him, but, you know, we catch him all the time. I love you, Willie.
Well, I think tonight it is a fabulous night for a game. I'm glad the band is going to be able to perform their whole show tonight because they haven't really done it. So thank you for joining me tonight, David. And this is the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
Hey, could you guys count me back in by about 30?
No, he's not. You know what I'm saying? Deontay get his dribble. That's it. Get to the rim. He's up. I mean, don't start hating. Deontay really can't shoot that. To me, honestly, he's nothing but wall. That's just a lot of who? Nobody. Who? Y'all fired something. Because Ty don't like me. Alright, so you can't be.
The official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. I'm here with Dowling sophomore coach Jim Cataldo. And Jim, tell me a little bit about your history with Dowling, when you graduated, what your story was here.
Well, Brian, I grew up around the Dowling family as long as I can remember. Grew up watching my brothers play and saw a lot of stuff with my dad and my uncles. And I went through Dowling, graduated in 1991.
Now, you played football, I'm assuming. Yeah. What position?
I came in as a quarterback, got quickly moved to a defensive back, and my senior year team was very successful. We went undefeated that year in 1990, got beat by Newton at Newton that year, and in the semifinals.
I think I was at the game. Miss Peterson's, husband played for that team for Newton, maybe. But tell me a little about growing up a Dowling fan. Who did you idolize?
Oh God, that's a great question. I mean, there's so many great athletes that went through this school.
Brian Morse is a good answer.
When I really got around the Dowling community and really started football, was something I wanted to do. My brother Bobby, who ended up being a quarterback here, I got to watch him a lot. They were a state finalist team my freshman year, so oftentimes I watched him play, and I would tell you, I would say him. Yes.
All right. And you've made the transition a couple years ago from freshman to sophomore team. What's that like? Because the philosophy has to be different on what you're trying to accomplish with these kids.
Well, the philosophy isn't much different other than the fact that we're able to do things quicker. The coaching staff, my coaching staff is great. Well organized. We get kids moving quickly and developing them quicker. And it's a lot different in the sense that the kids are one step away from playing and on the varsity level. So we're doing a lot of things and getting them prepared if that opportunity arises and moving kids to positions where we think they can help us in the next level.
And last night, again, a 55-0 victory. You guys are now 2-0. And I don't want you to single out any players, but maybe some of the names that we'll be seeing in the next few years here at Dowling Catholic.
Well, I think it starts with our quarterback. Ryan Boyle, who's a freshman playing on the sophomore level, has really put himself in a great position and in a great position to succeed at this school. Our running backs are very, very good. Joey Miller, Jake Luton, Nathan Christian, Colin Peacock. Our offensive line, I think we have a very good offensive line that's going to be growing in the future, and that's led by Jack McAllister. Our defense is second to none. I think our defense is going to be something you're going to recognize this team with, and that starts with our linebacker core in Jake Luton, Chase Dowell, who's a kid that you're going to hear a lot about here in the future.
All right, thank you, Jim Cataldo, for joining us on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic, 1150 KWKY.
Nigga did not make the three. North had like 500,000. No, they had a mill. I swear, it was either 1 mil. Yeah, they had 1 mil. Y'all had 1 mil. For what? No, remember. Hey, you know that one last year? Yeah, we did. Bro, they just good about the mill. Hey, when y'all play time, yeah, they only turn that high. He wasn't going to be He's never going to be one school with this. All the rest of them is not good. He couldn't earn a spot on varsity. His brother just won it. We still going to be called East and North. He just won it. He couldn't earn it. That makes sense. North is just going to hoop to that. They want to hoop to that. Last another day. What did he say? What's he talking about? What are y'all talking about? Hey, what are they talking about? They said that they smacked East. You mean at Valley? No, y'all didn't play us at the Valley. I swear to God, we played y'all at Simpson. In Valley? No, at Simpson. Y'all played us at Valley because I played that game. I'm talking about the one at Simpson. So y'all played us at Valley. Well, why are you doing that? I'm talking about the one at Simpson. No.
talking about Chris, the last game one? Yeah, and he was on the bench.
Oh, now I don't know who you're talking about.
He started Malik, Tyrus, Bennett Pitty, tall white boy, and
Was Travis there? Was Travis there?
yeah, Travis there. He was on the bench.
I don't think he might be.
We are back on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY, and I am here with Pat Pithan. You may not recognize the last name Pithan, but he is with the Monroe family. He is married to Katie, and if I get this right, you have the Monroe family, Mary Beth, Kenny, I'm going to have to look at my cheat sheet even, Barney, Patrick, Martha, Renee, and I think that's it, and the matriarch of the whole family.
Yeah, the matriarch, Pat, Patricia Monroe.
And you think the Monroe family, they've been around Dowling forever. You joined the crew, you know, when you marry into it, and you're the one representing because you're probably the best looking one of the crew.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about football on Thanksgiving weekends at the Monroe household. Is it as crazy as I anticipate, like the Kennedys, or is there probably as much drinking but maybe a little less physical contact?
It gets a little rough around the house. Yeah, there's a lot flying around, and the boys get a little rough, and yeah, it's a tough day.
And again, we've talked a lot in years past about the Monroe tailgate, which I know you helped spearhead. And your daughter was on last week talking about the tailgate, and I don't know if we guilted you into having one, but tell me about the first one coming up next week.
Yeah, the first one coming up is the Urbandale game next week over at Lions Park, and it's going to start at 6 o'clock. We'd love to have as many people there as possible. It's always a lot of fun, and I kind of got stuck doing this. I don't know, it started probably 5 years ago. They nominated me to start this, so we're looking forward to it.
Everybody at Lions Park, come join the Monroe tailgate. You are listening to the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
Chris Brown, do you not know Chris Brown's 6 foot something?
Hey, why they flattening that nigga Scotty Pippen tires? Hey, J. Cole, that nigga. I mean, that
Oh, I'm telling you, you tried to gun. Stop, bro. He gunned the twin. Was like, you said you was how we about to talk about when he was playing varsity, junior varsity, and he benching freshman. Hey, did Dewan ever play varsity for North? He did play for North for a minute. Not varsity. Did he practice in the I would not have fit in. Small white dude is not above. I'm just waiting for them to use head cold. Oh my God. Hey, Hank Rose got ultrasound. I was at the doctor. I gained 16 pounds on 5 years. I think I can't be bored. But none of our coaches do. We always be all kidding. I got my perfect roll back. I didn't think this time to grab my hip. I ain't even did. I do that to everybody. Nobody bored though. Bro, y'all will be blocking the Armand, the only nigga that can't be jumping. We're about to, me and Armand about to average like 20 rebounds, offense rebounds a game. It's still getting blocked. Bro, I'm trying to give you a compliment. See, now I'll take it back. Watch is a plug. I'm trying to give this nigga a compliment. I'm trying to give black people a compliment. He's trying to say you know how to not like it. He's trying to say I ain't got her. Bro, I ain't say that. I just said you don't jump when you block. Elijah, cool. I said you're the only one.
back on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. And Dave, this is just a chance to see how tall we are beside one another. Yeah. So I'm going to stand on a box to be taller. Let's talk about last week. 44-7, Dowling wins that game over a much improved TJ team. But it also was a much improved Dowling Catholic team.
Yeah, it was. And after talking to the coaches, the first question I always ask them Monday morning is how the film look, and they were pleased. You know, at this point of the season, you don't worry a whole lot about who you play. You worry about getting better every week. And I think the coaches were pleased. I think the kids were pleased that they did do that. They saw some nice improvement over week one, which they weren't very happy with.
Well, in week two, in that contest, you had Goley, 14 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Mara Darbo, he had the 2 touchdowns rushing.
Yes, he did. He looked good, and they're trying to obviously that game get him the ball a little bit more, and I think they're going to keep doing that tonight.
He's in that flanker position, and so that's what it is, just like Eric Lee was last season.
Right. They were bringing him back for the jet to give him the ball and on the sweep, and look for him to throw it to him a little bit more so tonight than they did last week.
Coming up later, we will hear from Coach Wilson on exactly what that route was that Amara scored on. Kind of an interesting football note of sorts. Offensively, the line, there was a change up there. There was an injury up there. But overall, what did you notice in that line play?
You know, I thought they were better. I saw them locking onto their blocks a little bit more. And I saw them getting to the second plateau, which means getting to the linebackers more so than they were able to against those big guys from Valley.
Now, defensively, you've got some changes. Sam Harold is playing a little bit more, but it was Andrew Clement, I felt, who really had a good game. He had the interception and the fumble recovery.
Yeah, he did do a very nice job, and it's nice to see these kids. We didn't call his name, I don't believe, at all last year, so it's always nice to get these new kids involved in the game, and he did a very nice job.
One of the other things that you're always trying to find out is who is going to step up, and it looks like Alex Heckman is one of those kids who was not on the starting lineup, but all of a sudden now he is starting at right corner tonight, and he's also going to get more touches on offense. Alex Heckman has really, I think, come out well.
Yeah, he really has. He's done a real nice job. He looks like he's a pretty athletic kid, and as you said, he kind of stepped up and won that cornerback position.
You're close enough to the field here. It's a little bit warm. The sun's kind of gone under a little bit, but it's clouds to the north, rain to the north. A little more hot and humid. What's that doing? You're not expecting it to be hot and humid on a night like tonight.
You know what? I think the kids expected the week that they've been through. It's not like it was a surprise, so they'll be okay. They'll be ready.
They're ready to go, and so are we. We're going to continue this pregame show in just a little bit. We will look at other games. We're also going to talk about East High as they are our hosts tonight for this ball game. But we'll be back here. You're listening to the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
Oh, you going to the Y?
Oh my God. Yeah, we going Friday. Go to the Y.
Yeah, I heard it.
They're trying to get a kick though.
Number 1, he's working. That boy wearing shorts. I see him now. I see him. Looks like he lost him. When he was playing action. Are you saying about the ones like Nico had? Nico had this. I mean, Nico had the Jordan with the
They're not clean. They're not clean. We saw that.
I don't want y'all going over there trying to climb this and actually have cleats on.
Nobody never We got niggas that take 8 jobs to chill. We are, so they feel like this is hard, and then everybody else is really
He's got
every time they score, I tell that nigga, how about we? That's what I'm saying.
Radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager along with Brian Morris, Dave Marcoulier. We're here fieldside on track lane 2 as we're just about an hour, less than an hour, or just over an hour before kickoff here. And Brian, when I say Des Moines East, what do you normally think of as a stereotype of their football team?
You know, I think they're going to have a lot of athletes and skill players who can do things with the ball. Last year they had an all-conference receiver who did really well against Dowling, and I think they're going to have the same thing tonight. And Dowling's got their hands full in terms of being able to anticipate the speed of these East High Scarlets.
One of the things Brian was saying, Dave, listening down here, is these kids hit hard, and this is just the freshman game.
Yeah, they really do. We've been able to watch quite a bit of the freshman game. Normally we see the sophomores, but they're doing a nice job on both sides. This East High team hung in with our freshmen the first half, but second half we're kind of pulling away.
Coach Greg Schoen in his second season here tonight for the East High Scarlets. He's bringing back 13 starters. Last week they lost 28-19 against Fort Dodge. Always a good fast Fort Dodge team. You don't know if they're going to be as good as they were last year, but it was 4 busted plays is what Coach said. Just kind of mental breakdowns. You just can't have that.
No, you can't. And 4 busted plays equals 28 points, and that's apparently what happened. I think what's the key to East tonight is their quarterback, last name James, and he was 22 for 26 last week, so very effective and efficient with throwing the ball, and I think you're going to see that again tonight. East's going to come out and try to do the same thing, control the offense, control the tempo of the game, and not give Dowling's offense the ball.
Xavier James is an excitable player. He's a junior. He played a lot last year as a sophomore. In fact, he came in. This was his first varsity start, was that second game of the year for them last year. He's athletic. Dave, how else would you describe that quarterback for East?
He's dangerous. He really kind of wants to run the ball first, but it doesn't appear that way. They're kind of weak up front on the offensive line. He has trouble, but if you would ask him and ask their coach, said they would prefer to run, but they usually can't because of the line, so he ends up passing the ball, and as Brian said, he's very successful and good at doing it.
Who he's going to be looking for mostly, Kyler Krogman. He'll wear number 20 tonight. 6 rushes last week, but he also had 4 catches out of the backfield. And their wide receiver, Abu Sama, number 5, 9 catches, 69 yards. He's probably that first target.
He really is, and I think what's going to happen, as we've got some excitement going on here, another touchdown for East, but he is going to have his first and second targets, and those are the kids who Dowling are going to have to key on and make sure they stay at home. They got to play team defense because one busted play against an East team is going to be a touchdown for the East High Scarlets.
Blake Cunningham, wide receiver, 2 catches, 39 yards. Colby Carmichael, also some catches. He's a pretty good baseball pitcher for East High. And then you've got Rico Gafford. He's a sophomore, 7 catches, 29 yards. So he's a sophomore playing. They don't need the sophomores now, Dave, but anytime you have a sophomore playing, chances are it's probably pretty good.
Yeah, and again, it's what Brian talked about. It's the skill people that they have, and you talk about the breakaway speed and the talent. It just happened in the freshman game where this young man just sprinted down the sideline and no one caught him. So they have the skill people to hurt you.
And that is something that we'll be watching during this entire game. We'll talk to head coach Tom Wilson about this team in a little bit, but also I want to talk about the defensive style. 4-3 base defense, Brian. They're always trying to protect that middle linebacker spot, but they can also, when you have speed, you can get around to a lot of places.
You can, and I know one of the things Coach Schoen talked about was team defense, because what happens if you have people just flying all over the field, they're leaving their lanes, they're leaving their posts, and that's what happened last week. Those big plays happened. And that's the thing, as a defense, you may have all the skill players, but if they're not all playing together as a unit, it doesn't work because all it takes is that one seam, and Coach Wilson and his staff does a great job of finding that seam against the defenses.
One of those linebackers, Austin Bellis, Tobias Tyler, Tyrell Smith, and then their DNs, Kyle Thompson, Derico Lowry, Aaron Cole, and Aubrey Cole. And Abusama, another good player. He's a good offensive player, but he plays defensive side. And a night like tonight, Dave, when you're playing both ways, that could be a factor come third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tough for anyone who's going both ways tonight in this heat.
All right, we'll find out as we're about an hour from kickoff here. The freshman game, 42-12. They did have a continuous clock, but not anymore. We'll come back, talk East Athletics, and look at other games a little bit. You're on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
That's why, like, every day I go through my closet and I look at the shoes. Why? And I don't wear it. I'm like, thank God I didn't wear it. Jesse was picking up. Bro, Jesse's a picture. He's kicking. Oh, there we go, there we go. There we go, baby. Bro, I can't believe he took my spot over here. Bro, you can tell us. What I mean by hoop, I mean hit the watermelon. Tomorrow? Tino, of course I know Tino. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, Tino was talking about. Nigga with hatred.
Of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager with East High Athletic Director Rick Powell. And Rick, good to see you without a parka. The last time we saw you back on November the 5th, a little colder.
Yeah, it was freezing that night, but luckily it's football weather. The college season is going to kick off tomorrow afternoon. It's great to be here. We're glad you're here on our field, and it's great to be back at it again.
All right, I guess I said don't look at the camera, but you just got to give us a little bit of look up there. They want to see you wherever we may be across the world, and this is a new venture for us, but a new venture for you is what I'm looking at, and that's that entrance plaza to the south.
Yeah, our new entrance is named after Hall of Fame coach Bob Savage, who coached not only football but also baseball and softball during his career, and he's just has a lot of alumni that have played under Coach Savage, and we have a lot of alumni that donated money towards the new entrance under with going to behalf of Bob Savage. So it's a great thing. We've got a lot of, it's done by private money, not school money, and no taxpayer money, but it really adds to our stadium, and it's long overdue, and it's pretty modern.
It's a ticket taker booth, and then it's also a concession stand. What else is going to be in there?
Yeah, it's a ticket taker booth. There's also a brand new concession stand and also a spirit shop where we're going to sell our merchandise, and also a tailgating area for our picnics and our pregame activities. And it's just hopefully a nice gathering place for all of our community.
We'll get back to football in a minute, but kind of a good year for East High Athletics, girls softball, girls basketball.
Yeah, last year we won 2 state titles for the first time in the history of East High School. Our girls basketball team were runner-ups the year before, and last year they had a perfect season, going 26-0 and finishing off in the state tournament with a big win. And our softball team also were runner-ups in 2010, and they had a great postseason. They just really cruised in the postseason, and they got to the championship game where they defeated a really good Ankeny team in the championship game.
And a lot of those girls off of the basketball team, Division I, softball team, some playing Division I, some following their high school coach to go play college ball.
Yeah, I think Coach LaGoria will take a few of them. He's the new DMAC coach, and I'm sure he'll take a few of his players from East with him. But we're very fortunate to have most of our softball team back. We only graduated 4 girls, and both of our pitchers are back. So our top pitcher, Riley Fisher, signed with Iowa State, so she won't be going with Coach LaGoria. But some of our other girls have signed with some major colleges too. So both basketball and softball, we have some Division I players.
All right, let's talk football. Coach Schoen, second season for him. It's someone familiar with the program. He's been an assistant for 5 years before that. How's he putting his stamp on this program?
Well, he's a former Iowa State player under Dan McCarney, and he was our defensive coordinator under Rick Roberts. So he's been an assistant for 7 years, and now it's the second year as a head coach. So he's been here almost 10 years. He really knows our community, really knows our school. The numbers are high this year, and the freshman team is better than it has been in the past. And I think our varsity team will be very competitive this year.
And fast. That number 23, we can't keep an eye on him. I hear he might be one of the fastest ones in the program.
Yeah, he's pretty fast. He's doing a good job. He's not getting a whole lot of blocking, so he's probably running for his life. But he's a nice athlete.
Now, I think the last time we were here when it was East, when you were the home team, even though you're the road team on the home side, who knows? I can't keep it all straight, but Coach Wilson tries to set me that way. You had youth football night, and that was something to see. Those numbers have grown as the years have gone on.
Yeah, we've started youth football in the city of Des Moines, and we're going to be hosting games here for 5th and 6th graders and 7th graders on Sunday afternoons and Sunday mornings. And, we just can never do enough in the Des Moines schools, especially to develop our youth. And hopefully we'll see the dividends of that in a few years when those kids become high school players.
And by the time they are varsity, will there be anything different that they'll see? I mean, we're already on that nice field turf. You've got the track area. You've got some stands improvements. What else is going to be happening next year?
Well, our next goal is to resurface the oval on the track because it's pretty worn, and we'd like to, track's very important here at East High School and at Grandview. We both share the track. We're hoping to host some, big regional or district track meets, and I know Grandview's trying to host some big events too. But so I think our next job after the plaza will be to resurface the track. Following that, we'd like to paint our bleachers on both sides. It's in dire need of a paint job, and that's very much needed. Then we'd like to expand our press box. So there's about 3 more phases.
You don't like us standing on top of each other in the box?
No, we're just slightly bigger than Lincoln. That's about it. But we need to expand.
All right, Rick Powell, appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much, Athletic Director Rick Powell of East High. And when we come back, we'll take a look at other games of interest going around. Brian, I'll have that conversation here. You're on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. On the KWKY, and Brian, you always get to stand on the field. I want to stand on the field.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? I go home every Friday night with all this black stuff, all this crushed up tire in my shoes, and I take it off in the house, and there's a pile of it.
It's like you made it a NASCAR track or something.
Yeah, that's not one of the things I'd like to do.
All right, we're here in the freshman game. Let me get you caught up. It's 49-12. Dowling in front of this one, 4:18 to play here in the third quarter, so probably not going to be on time, but you never know. Things can move rather quickly. Let's take a look at games around the area tonight. Waukee is at Southeast Polk, Indianola at Valley, Urbandale at Fort Dodge, Marshalltown at Johnston, Ankeny at Des Moines North, Grinnell moves up a class for the night to play Des Moines Roosevelt, Mason City at Hoover, Ottumwa at Ames, Sioux City East at Des Moines Lincoln, Sioux City West goes down to play Sergeant Bluff Luton, Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln will travel to Harlan for a good game there. Sioux City North at Bishop Heelan. Then the team last week that we saw, Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson, they are home tonight against Council Bluffs Lewis Central. Those are the games on the western side of the state. Brian, what stands out for you as a couple of games?
You know, a couple of the games, our next two opponents are Urbandale is going up to Fort Dodge, and I think Urbandale last week played Hoover, which my understanding Hoover does not have much of a team this year, so Urbandale really trounced them, but they didn't know a lot from that game. And Fort Dodge came out and put 300 and some yards passing against this East team, so I think that'll be an interesting matchup.
And Fort Dodge is a team that last season, you know, Levi Peters, the quarterback, could kind of get around in an area, and they were blitzing a lot, and there was always some activity. Kind of curious to see how well they do. Coach Schoen told me that he says, hey, Fort Dodge is a fast team.
Yeah, and they're going to Urbandale's a fast team, too, from what I've seen. They have a few sophomores up on that varsity team. That'll be a good game, as well as that Johnston Marshalltown game. Marshalltown, again, that offense they run is so tricky that they get tons of yards, and their quarterback leads the state in passing right now. And Johnson 2-0, Coach Woodley, that's going to be a great matchup.
The other ball game, Waukee Southeast Polk, I believe that's the MediaCom game. Waukee is one of those squads played tough against Ankeny and then have to come back. Southeast Polk, to me, for my money, might be the class of the division.
Yeah, Southeast Polk, I think they had a nice article in the Register today. They're going to be tough. The Starkovich Jr. is a good quarterback, and we showed last year against our state champion team. They gave us every bit of a game that we had all year.
If it wasn't for that blocked punt and a couple of other plays, it probably is an L.
It was a great game. It's the same schedule as last year, so they're going to have that 2 weeks to prepare for Dowling Catholic.
And rest. You never know.
Yeah, rest is always a good thing, and the way injuries happen to weeks 1 here for Dowling, it's a funny season. Some seasons you go through without any injuries. Some seasons you get 4 in the first week.
Iowa Sports Connection top 10 poll puts Cedar Falls number 1, City High 2, Valley 3, Ankeny 4, Dowling Catholic 5, Bettendorf 6, Southeast Polk 7, Linn-Mar 8, Cedar Rapids Wash 9, and Iowa City West 10. I did see Cedar Falls last week on television on the MediaCom game. And interesting squad. They had looked really good, got beat out early in the playoffs last season, but they could be the best team on the eastern side of the state.
You know, that's everything I'm hearing as well. They've got the Hill running back who's an Iowa State recruit. They have, I believe, a wide receiver who's being recruited. They have a sophomore offensive lineman that may be one of the best linemen in the state. So I think, is it Coach Mitchell still over at Cedar Falls?
Co-head coach.
And I believe they have the squad, and I think they're the team to beat right now on the eastern side.
And number 2, City High, last year's runner-up in that. And then you have Valley, Ankeny, Dowling, and that's the Sports Connection rankings. And, you know, we've seen Valley. I think it's a much better Valley team than it was last year.
It really is. I mean, they have, when you go 6'7", 6'6", with your 2 tackles, 280, 250, and I think Coach Winston went back to his bread and butter as the running game. I think that's the way to do it. And to be quite honest, they're going to run the table this year. I look at their schedule. They're going to run the table. They're going to be 9-0 going to the playoffs.
Never know when Marshalltown comes calling what could be in that one.
I'm picking Valley this year.
Put that on the tape. Mark that on the tape, guys. Hey, I want to let you know, one of the things, you're a Dowling alum, and we have this thing called Twitter. Ramel Slaughter runs that for us. It's twitter.com/KWKY Sports. You can just point your web browser to that. Watch the Twitter feeds. He updates kind of like scoring plays, things like that. But what we want to do right now, here in the next 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, I want you to send your best question. Join Twitter in the next 5 minutes. I know that seems hard. And send us a question to @KWKY Sports and say, hey, Dave, I want to know about, and we'll ask him that question. So this is your chance to tell your other fellow alums on what they should do.
You know what, and you've got all the technical things down, but any question, I want to hear who your favorite player was growing up. Mine growing up, Ron Giudice. I idolized the guy, linebacker, fullback. I mean, 6th, 7th grade, he was my guy. So I want to hear everybody who your guy is. So,
all right. We'll have that segment coming up in a little bit later. We're going to come back. We'll step aside here. Freshman game 49-12 as they're winding down third quarter here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Back on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Brian Morris, Dave Marcoulier. We're still trackside, and Dave was running laps in that commercial break. Do you know that?
You know, Dave was running getting treats. That's what Dave was doing, and I haven't seen him move that quick since probably about 73.
When you were making him run or something.
Yeah, I saw some cookies on the top of the bleachers on our side. I timed me in the 200 around 22 even.
They used a sundial, didn't they?
No, it was a stopwatch.
All right, 22 minutes even. Good job, Dave. Tonight's Ask the Announcer question, we have two of them, and the first one came in early in the week, and it was about Jake Hobbs, the player for Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson, and I did get an update. Talked to Chris Henning today, athletic director at Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson, and you remember that play, Dave? It was the player on the north side there and down for quite a while. The trainers came out, athletic director came out, all the coaching staff, they bring out the stretcher, and they did take him to the hospital. He went home that night. They had to get his parents over here, and then they took him back. He was released from the hospital that night and went out. But, Coach, I'll ask you as a coach, when you have a player down, how important is, A, the reaction that a coaching staff or a training staff has to alert whether it's the players or the fans in the stands, and B, just mentally what it does to your team when you see a guy go down that long on the field?
It can really affect you. We've seen that at the pro level where these kids are really affected by a serious injury. And the thing is, you never know as a player how serious it is. You don't know whether they're taking precautionary measures or whether it is paralysis or what it is. So you think the worst as a player, and it can really have an effect on you. It really can.
All right, the second question is from Billy McCroy, and what he's asking is he wants to know what's the toughest sport. He thinks he knows what's the toughest sport in the Monroe family. Do you have an idea what he would think the toughest sport would be for the Monroe family to play?
I would say spelling, but that would be not right. But I would say maybe hockey.
They can see your reaction, which makes it even better. Hockey is the answer, is what Billy said.
Yeah, I believe hockey is, and the Monroe family is very, very into hockey. They've had great success, and all of them play football, hockey. They go from one sport to the next, and I was going to say Patrick Monroe. He was a defensive tackle on my team, and he tore his ACL by doing a cheer move after he sacked the quarterback. So maybe cheerleading for Patrick, maybe? Patrick, give me a call. Let me know.
All right, or just give us a Twitter shout-out. So, Billy, thanks for that question, and thanks earlier for the question about the Thomas Jefferson player. And Dave, I'm going to ask you now an institutional question. I mean, you are your official title is vice principal, so you are in on decision-making, and people tell you various things. What's the staff meeting been like? What's the reaction been coming into you on the official standpoint of this crazy little thing we do on TV?
It's been very positive. In fact, I got a call from a guy named Rudy he's out in Maryland now, and he's a St. Francis parishioner, but he just called me today to tell me how neat it is that he watches it. And he said, it's such a nice way. It's typical Dowling, nice way to connect the community, the alumni, and to really branch out so people all over the world can see it.
And we know that that's been happening. It was almost 40 states the first week. I think it was closer to 20 or 25 last week. And Brian, who have you been hearing from and where they've been watching?
I have a friend in Arizona who's tuned us in, a couple friends out east on the East Coast who have tuned us in. So, again, the word's getting out that the Dowling games are on the internet. I mean, I've run into people today, and they're like, oh, it is? And it just surprises me because it's out there in the Maroon News, in the announcements. So, again, pass it on to your friends, neighbors, that this game is on the internet. They can watch it live. The cool part, then, is if you can't watch it live, say they have a life and they're not here on Friday, they can go on Sunday morning after church, of course, and tune in the game. And you could breaks it down by pregame, quarter one, quarter two. It's really cool.
So you can skip all of Brian's segments.
Skip the fluff stuff and then go right to the game.
Or maybe they might start grading us. You think that would be scary?
That could happen too. That could, but we'll see. But it's really been successful. I think it's a great thing. I really do.
All right, Brian. Last question before we go to break.
No, I think it's going to be a great game tonight. The Clouds are staying away. We're up for a good football game.
All right, Cloud has Sun's Gone Under, and we'll come back and we'll get you ready. We'll start take a look at starting lineups, and Coach Tom Wilson coming your way at the top of the hour right here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. back on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager alongside Dave Marcoulier and Brian Morris, and we're back up in the stands now as we get you closer to kickoff. And Dave, let's first talk last week overall impressions of the way the Maroons played.
Much improved over the Valley game, even though the Jefferson obviously wasn't the quality of team of the Tigers. We showed good improvement on the fundamentals, the techniques, on the schemes that we were trying to do. The kids were focused, and good improvement shown over week one.
Dan Hartlib is a guy who's basically just playing and learning as he goes. He didn't have that season last year to play much mop-up duty or much sophomore duty or JV for that matter, really JV. How's he doing as he learns from week to week?
He's doing very well. You know, it really doesn't matter the quality of your opponent. You're still going through your reads, and he has to get his pre-snap read when he gets up to the line so he can make his calls, and he needs to know what his reads are, and it's a great opportunity to work on them.
All right, Dave and I talked about this earlier in the pregame. We talked about the running position. You got Ben Goley, who's just running lights out. All of a sudden, Alex Heckman comes in, bursts off an almost 45-yard run.
I like it. I like the change of pace, because that linebacker, those defensive linemen are waiting for that guy to run over him. Then suddenly Heckman comes, jukes, and he's to the outside, and he's got some speed. I like it, and it gives Bengoli a little chance to get a breather. He's carrying the ball a lot this year, and any chance you can get him a little rest in that second part of the game, he's going to be that much stronger in the fourth quarter.
It's kind of the way Valley did it the week before, but they were alternating, and that made a huge difference when Lewis was out.
Yeah, it did. You know, it made a 300 yards worth of difference for that team. So it does make a big difference. And it's a hot night today. It's going to be hot on that field. So the amount of time those players are out there, or the rest they can get, it's going to be important.
Heat index at about 5 o'clock this afternoon was 101, real temperature 92. It'll be a little bit cooler than that, but Dave, defensively, what do the Maroons need to do tonight to take control of this game?
They need to get the ball to the offense. As we talked about in the pregame, East has good skill people, and you want to keep those skill people off the field, and you want to keep their defense on the field. So we need to get the ball in our offense's hand. Our defensive line needs to continue to progress and move forward. Linebackers, all of them need to just keep moving forward week to week.
To make improvement, make an improvement every time. We're at the freshman game, 51-12, 3:26 left to play in this football game. Dowling's really kind of had the control. Sophomores won last night. I believe it was 55-0. Brian, let's talk about the defense, or let's talk about the team they're defending, the East High Scarlets. Xavier James is one of those players. He's fun to watch. He's excitable. He's just all over the field.
You know, the thing that really impressed me last week, he was 22 for 26, which is very efficient passing. So he's getting the ball where he needs to his playmakers to make plays. And the one thing about him is you got to contain him, because he will get outside and he'll burn you for a 15, 20-yard gain.
And if not, they'll just throw the football to one of their top receivers. Quickly, Dave, when you've got such good receivers that might be taller than your defensive backs, how do you defend that?
Well, you just have to get positioned the best you can and try and tip the ball. Don't intercept it. Just get a hand on it.
All right, we're not going to intercept any more of your comments. We're going to set the starting lineups, and we'll talk to head coach Tom Wilson right after this. We're on the pregame show on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Paul Yeager here as we get you ready for kickoff. Freshman game finishing up right now. Final minute and a half, 58-12. Freshman in control of this one over East. Let's set your starting lineups for the varsity, which will probably kick around that 7:35, maybe 7:36 is my bet on the pool when we're going to start tonight. Let's set the Dowling Catholic starting lineups. The front left tackle is TJ Palmy, 6'4", 225. He is a senior. Left guard is Jake Curvin, 6'1", 230, and a sophomore. Mark Kenkel is the center for tonight's starting lineup, 6'1", 270, a senior. The right guard, Evan Barkley. You'll hear more about Evan Barkley in the interview with Coach Wilson in a little bit. Barkley, 5'10", 200-pound. He is a senior. And at right guard. Right tackle, Jimmy Barsetti, 6'3", 230. He is a senior. And at the tight end position, John Wisniewski, 6'4", 210, junior at that tight end spot. Flanker, Amara Darbo will wear number 15, 6'3", 200-pound senior. Tight end, or the split end is Brandon Ogden, 5'11", 185-pound senior. In the backfield, fullback is Nick Naven, 5'10", 180, and a senior. The tailback, Ben Goley, 5'10", 175, also a senior. And the quarterback wearing number 3, Dan Hartlib, 5'11", 155, and a senior. The Maroons have rushed the ball 67 times for 404 yards this year, 5 touchdowns as a team. They've thrown the ball 22 times, 22 catches for 33 attempts, 284 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's your offense for 1-1 at Coach Tom Wilson in his 7th year as head coach here at Dowling Catholic. Let's set his defense for you. At the defensive tackle, the stud position, Matthew Farmonic, 6', 235. The tackle is at freshman game goes final now. 58-12 is your final. Matt Dunbar is the tackle position, 6'1", 230. Alex Kramer, nose guard, 6', 225 as a junior. Sam Harold, 6'4", 190 as a senior. He is at the right defensive end position. The right cornerback is a new starter tonight. It's Alex Heckman, 6', 180-pound senior. And the left cornerback is Tim Mackey. Mackey gets the start. He's 5'9", 175 pounds, and is a senior. The bandit position, the linebackers, John Wisniewski, 6'4", as we mentioned, 210, and a junior. Very athletic, according to Coach. You've seen him all over the field. The strong linebacker, Sam Murfeld, 5'9", 185. The Will, the guy who had the great game last year, the weak side linebacker, is Andrew Clemens, 6'2", 200-pound senior. And the Rover, Nick Naven. Naven, again, second week now in that new position. Naven, 5'10", 200 pounds. And the free safety is Max Pyle. Pyle's 5'10", 165 pounds. That is a look at your starting lineups for the Maroons. We will get you ready for kickoff. We'll talk to head coach Tom Wilson as you take a look right now. The freshmen are shaking hands after their win of 58-12, and the special teams for both the Dowling Catholic and East High on the field. So we're going to be really darn close to kickoff at about 7:30. So we're going to come back, talk to head coach Tom Wilson, get his thoughts on this game right here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
Getting a wireless mic and heading someplace over there. So we'll hand off to him. I'll tell Steve, and we'll do the best we can.
improved Thomas Jefferson team?
Oh, they were very much improved from a year ago, and you know, when we went to Council Bluffs a year ago, they were a very young, inexperienced team with a new coaching staff, and they were in a tough place at that point. And then this year, you know, on film we could tell that they were a lot better than what they were the year before, and I thought their quarterback was an excellent player. We just did a good job up front to where we didn't give him a lot of room to move around.
Let's talk about your up front of your offensive line. You did make a couple of changes, or at least it looked like a couple more guys were going to get a chance to play. How'd that respond for you?
Pretty well. We obviously graded out a lot better than what we did the week before, and I think some of that has to do with the competition of which we were playing. Really, Evan Barkley has been the most consistent offensive lineman that we've had, and he's really played well the first 2 weeks. I thought everyone else made some strides. We got Dino DeMarco in the game a little bit more at left guard, and then also played some center, and I think Dino is going to make it tough for us to keep him out of the lineup.
And you did get a chance to play a lot of guys. That helps you long run, doesn't it?
That's certainly what we try to do. You know, it's situations like what we're in this year. When we graduated a lot of kids the year before, we allowed kids to play, and we're hoping that experience at some point helps us down the road.
One of those things, too, though, you said in the postgame was every job is not a guarantee. You're still looking at guys to get playing time.
No question. You know, we're really trying to create competition within our team and within our program to find the best guys that we can put on the field. And you know, that's been communicated to our kids. They understand that. I said that at the Coach's Corner on Wednesday night. We just want to try to find the kids that can get the job done and do it the most consistent, and hopefully we will continue to try to find that.
Amara Darboh, 3 touchdowns, 2 of them, though, on the ground. You said you tried to get him into the mix as much as possible. They were short little runs, but how do you feel Amara's play has been so far?
Amara's been fine. We've just got to continue to find people to make plays around him, and obviously he has the attention of every defense that we're going to face, and deservedly so. We just have to try to be creative in which we get him the ball, and running him on the jet sweep is part of that. And you know, we've got some other things in mind, but sooner or later it's going to be Danny getting Amara the football, and if they want to double cover Amara, we have to make them pay either on the ground or with somebody else in the pass game.
What I thought was impressive on his one reception was that route to the back of the end zone, kind of just stopped there, and then it looked like it was a tough executed play, or was that a busted play?
No, it was an executed play. It's called a fade stop, and you know, a lot of people expect Amara to run the fade route, and you know, really starting in the playoffs a year ago, that was a route that we'd started working on then, and I never liked the looks of it. To use it in the ball game, and we had the conversation in the huddle before we called that play. We were talking about fade or the fade stop, and I said, well, we just as well run fade stop because we got to see it executed in a football game, and we let Danny decide the side that he wanted to run it to Amara, and he wanted to go to the right side, and it was executed very well.
Getting his first touchdown, Johnny Wisniewski, Johnny Wiz. We're getting all sorts of fun. We're having fun pronouncing his name. We call him Johnny Wiz, but he got a touchdown, but he's all over the field for you as well.
John is a good football player, and I think he's somebody that colleges should take notice of. He's got a lot of skill. You know, I wish I could give him a break here and there, but he's pretty valuable to our football team, and you'll continue to see him at different places, outside linebacker, tight end, quarterback, just some different spots, and tremendous young man and somebody that works very hard. Great leadership out of him for a junior, and there's just good things to come for Wiz.
Ben Goley looked like he benefited from getting a couple of breathers when Alex Heckman came in. Both of those guys looked like they had good games.
They did. Goley has run very hard. He's exactly what I thought he would be for us, and you're not going to get a lot of flash out of Ben, but you're going to get a physical, hard runner that is a tough kid. It was good to see Heck come back in and get some carries. Got him in early on purpose. He'd been playing some tight end for us, and you know, I feel kind of bad the fact that I've moved him all over the place this year, defensively and offensively. But really, he's made us do that because throughout the offseason, he's done everything that we have asked him to do. and it started to be that, we've got to find a place for Alex Heckman on this team, just because of what he's done and how he's shown us that he wants to play. And so that was the reason for moving him around, just trying to find him a spot, find him a home, and he's really played well the first 2 weeks.
And now he's getting a chance to start tonight at right corner.
He will, and he's played well in the secondary. You might see him at safety before it's all said and done. We really feel good about him. He's played well. He's made plays, and I think he'll just continue to get better with experience.
Defensively, any changes?
No, not a lot. We felt that we put a lot of people in the defensive line that played well. Formanek was more in a number 2 role last week. He would be back up with the starters. Sam Richter wasn't healthy a week ago. He was going to start, but had an elbow problem. He's back and been practicing. Sam Harold will start at the other defensive end. Other than that, we're the status quo, and we hope we get a chance to play some different kids so they can show what they can do.
We got a chance to talk to Andrew Clement in the post-game show. Picks up a fumble, picks off a pass. So I'd say that looked like a good game. Did he grade out well?
He did. He got much better. Andrew is another kid that has done everything that we've asked him to do. He's a hard-working kid. He's a good kid. Doesn't say much. Just comes and does his job. And he's somebody else that we felt we had to continue to look to try to get on the field. With the injury to Michael Palmy, we had to shuffle around linebackers a little bit, and we had no problem with getting Andrew Clement in that game probably earlier than what he did in the Valley game, and he came up pretty big.
Max Pyle getting a chance to play a little bit again here, starting at free safety. How do you think that's going for him back there?
Well, it's different for him. He really hadn't played safety before. We moved him over from corner. I think we're probably going to try a couple of different kids there at free safety to see who can do the job the best. And it's like what we mentioned earlier, we're shuffling things around to see who we think can give us the best chance to win. And, Max is going to continue to get chances. He's worked hard. He's been in the program for 4 years, and we'll see if he can get the job done. And others as well, they're kind of auditioning for when we get into conference play.
That's head coach Tom Wilson of the Dowling Catholic Maroons. You're listening to the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.
It's going to be over about at the 40 in about 6 minutes, and they'll start the broadcast again live. So the guy that you've been railing, right? On the other side. Yeah. But I don't know if it's going to be by the railing or right on the sideline. I'm looking for him. He was there a minute ago. Now I don't see him. But yeah, over in about 5 minutes now. Steve, go get a smoke. Uh-oh. He always does that. We'll see if I can find him. I'll let you know.
Back on the pregame show, Paul Yeager along with head coach Tom Wilson and coach Thomas Jefferson. Different squad than they were last year.
There's no question about that. Last year, obviously, we were a senior-dominated group, and they were very young, and we just kind of snowballed on them. I think Jacob Stacy had 2 punt returns for touchdowns, and I think we had 14 or 21 points and had run maybe 2 offensive snaps. So things went our way that night. Very impressed with how TJ looked against AL in week 0. I thought they looked like they were a much different team from a year ago. They still play some young guys, but they've got a great athlete that plays quarterback, free safety, and Dominic Wilson, and I really think that he's a very dangerous player.
He's somebody who played receiver last year. The quarterback was Michael Wallace. Wallace breaks his ribs in week 5. Wilson comes in, never played quarterback, and it seems to be the position is he's kind of fallen into it.
He's good at it. He's a threat to run. He throws adequately well. They're not elaborate in their passing game, but they do a couple of things with their quarterback that makes it tough. That's kind of the dangers of having a running quarterback, is you can keep defenses honest and play 11 on 11. And their running back, Mike White, looked like he had a decent game. I didn't see the stats, but had some nice runs against AL. Not tremendously big, but it looks like he runs the ball hard. Is certainly a threat. So it's going to be a good challenge for our defense. Our offense, they run a 3-5-3 just like we expected Valley to, although they didn't as much as what we thought. So preparation hasn't been hard, but that scheme is designed to create confusion, and they play it and play it pretty well.
They're playing a spread offense, 4 receivers at any given time, with once in a while you'll see that running back thrown in there. What's that like to defend?
Well, it just spreads the field. It spreads you vertically. It spreads you horizontally, and you're not able to bunch your defense down to stop the run or gang up on anything. You're really spread out, and it will be a pretty big challenge. And when you've got kids that can run like the quarterback and the running back, and they've got a couple of receivers that are threats, it's a good challenge for us.
And you talked about the defense briefly there, more of a 3-5, and Coach Pueff says that's more to give athletic. He says they're a little smaller at linebacker, but more athletic and can cover the field. Is that an accurate assessment of what that 3-5 strategy is?
Well, I think so. And in watching them on film, they're very physical. They run to the football. I thought they hustled a lot in the AL game, and that's something that's different from a year ago. They didn't play the game as hard as what they're playing it now. The linebackers, they'll blitz from anywhere. I think they come blitzing as they come off the sidelines, and they just try to create a mess inside. And so, it's going to be tough sledding inside. We'll see what we can do to drum up some offense in the pass game and also the run game. But inside, it could be tough sledding.
All right, Coach, new staff or new season, got a couple of new staff members. Talk about that.
Brought Adam Jack in. He replaced Greg Bonnet. Adam is a Valley guy, ironically enough, and has been at Des Moines East. He played at, I think it was Eastern Illinois. Great guy, somebody I kind of had my eye on as you always look at other people to think how they would fit in your staff in case something happens, and Adam was somebody that I'd always kind of kept my eye on. Very good friends with Nate Zittegren, who was on my staff, so it has worked out very well. We certainly didn't want to lose Greg. He was a great asset for us and very good for our program, but understand the move that he made and glad to have Adam on board.
Well, and you talk about Greg Bonnet, his Prairie City Monroe Mustangs playing the Knoxville team tonight, coached by another former assistant. What's that like to have former assistants branch out and be head coaches?
It means I'm getting old, I think. It's good, and it's those guys are friends. They were companions when they were here. They were great on my coaching staff, and certainly a reason for the success that we've been able to have. They both get a chance to go back to their hometown and coach football and teach, and in Greg's case, he's the athletic director as well. So it's a good situation for both of them. I think it's great for their families, and it brings up a unique connection to Dowling Catholic.
We'll try to give you that score in the postgame. We won't hit you with the updates during the game. Coach, very good to talk to you. We'll talk to you at halftime. That's head coach Tom Wilson of the Dowling Catholic Maroons. You're listening to the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Athletics, 1150 KWKY. at East, but it's a home game for you. East was very good to you last year, and top down. And so is there a little extra mojo or special spot in your heart for this stadium?
Well, I certainly like it. It's Rick Powell has been tremendous to us, the AD over at Des Moines East, and he has worked with me an awful lot when I've had a need in terms of a stadium, and really I think this is another example of it. You know, some people may think I'm crazy just because, you know, we're playing East at East for one of our home games. Quite frankly, we had no other options, and Rick stepped up. I'm the one that brought it up to him, and he was willing to work with us, and it's really been a good relationship, and Rick certainly does a very good job at Des Moines East, and I'm glad that he's willing to work with us.
Let's talk about the game on the field. Coach Greg Schoen, second season, second straight week you're playing a guy in his second season. I wouldn't say necessarily a full rebuilding program. East has made the playoffs off and on over the last few years. Still, though, a below 500 team, a loss last week. What do you think is of East overall?
Well, it's very much a typical East team. You know, since Rick Roberts came in there a few years ago and started to put in the spread, and that's kind of, you know, I was at the beginning of my time here. Coach Schoen has continued with the spread offense. They've always been a 4-3 defense since I can remember. I think Coach Schoen very much has his hands in that, and it's a typical East team in the fact that they're going to have skill people. They've got speed. They're not as big up front as some other teams that we see, but I think one thing that East has always done is played very hard, and you know, if we let them hang around long enough, I think it's going to be a tough road for us. So I think it's very important that we get off to a very good start. I know East will be excited to play this ball game, and I'm kind of excited to see how we respond and see how we take success like what we had last week and really what we do with it moving forward.
Defensively, you mentioned they're 4-3. What things do they blitz a lot? Do they stay home? What should we look for on their defensive side?
Well, I think they're going to blitz occasionally and blitz when they feel like they're in trouble. And they'll occasionally jump into a 53, and that's more of a change up than anything else. It does affect us offensively a little bit, but our kids got their checks and audibles and responsibilities that they need to go to. You know, they bring pressure off the edge quite a bit with their outside linebackers, which is typical in a 4-3, and they try to protect the Mike backer or the middle backer. They will have it too deep in the secondary with some pretty decent athletes. One thing that we did notice, they do have quite a few kids that have played both ways. So, you know, hopefully if it gets towards the end of the ball game, hopefully we can get an advantage just because we won't have as many going both ways.
Clock will probably stop a lot. They do like to throw the football, spread first. Coach Schoen not necessarily saying that we run first, but he says he'd like to run first if it's there. Which do you think they'll do?
Well, I think they'll try to mix it in, and I think they will try to run the football. If they have some success, then, you know, that's going to put us on our heels because Xavier James is an excellent quarterback, very accurate. There weren't many balls that fell on the ground last week with him. I had over 20 completions, I believe. Number 5 is a wide receiver that, you know, you lose sleep over just because he can run, and if he gets in the open field, it's going to be a handful for us. So.
How do you defend something where you can go to multiple guys all the time?
Well, it's tough. It puts pressure on a defense. Again, we're going to have to mix in our coverages. We're not going to be able to just sit in our 4-4 and hang back there because James is accurate enough that he can pick you apart. He's also mobile. You know, he can run fairly well and efficiently enough to keep you honest. So I really think it's going to... I think that probably created some confusion within their secondary, which led to some big plays in the pass game.
Head Coach Tom Wilson will talk to you at halftime and then in the postgame. You're listening to the official station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY. Brian Morris, and we're going to check in with Brian Morris right now. He's on the far side of the field. Brian, what's going on over there?
You know, right now the field is very warm down here in the field. A lot of the people have walked over to me, Monsignor Hess, said they haven't felt this hot of a night in a long time. Part of the reason is there is no air movement. You look to the flag to the north side of the stadium, it is just sitting there, nothing. There is just nothing swirling around down here. So it's going to be interesting tonight just to see how these players react to it, because I am drenched just standing down here, and I can't imagine these players after going through, you know, a quarter, 2 quarters, what's going to be happening.
All right, that's Brian Morris on the far side of the field. Dave Marcoulier and I are back here in the booth, and Dave, right now it's 88 degrees. It feels like 93 degrees. The wind's out of the south-southeast at 6 miles an hour, 70-degree dew point, and the Maroons take the field, and they're a sweat-drenched Maroons.
Yeah, I tell you, in the press box, it's got to be 115 degrees. Paul, I've never had a sweat towel in the press box before, but I have one tonight.
I am trying to wipe, as I'm going to write notes during the game. I've been wiping my hand down my pant leg the entire game. I've been watching you sweat and try to wipe off some of that sweat. It's a nice warm night. There is a little bit of rain looking like it's to the west. Northwest here. A lot of the rain has been to the north of here, north of Highway 30. If any of it slips down here, you know, it could be an interesting ball game. And we're going to just keep things here for a little bit, and we'll check in as they're going to have the coin toss as we're about a couple of minutes away from kickoff, so we're going to step aside. We'll come back. We'll give you the opening kickoff right here on the official radio station of Dowling Catholic Sports, 1150 KWKY.